There's a homeless crisis, obviously facing California, facing Hawaii, facing this country with more and more people becoming homeless for a whole variety of reasons. But the biggest driver that we know of based on the statistics that we hear nationally, but also based on what we heard earlier today at Skid Row, is it is the high cost of living, gentrification, and the extreme lack of truly affordable housing, where people just don't have any other options. You have people who are working, who are either sleeping in their cars or sleeping on the streets because they literally cannot afford to put a roof over their heads.
So if you're president, is there anything that could be done about that? And because it's a tough issue, because it's predominantly a local issue. And so New York, it's bad, but they spend $17,000 per homeless person in New York. In LA, it's disastrous because they only spend $5,000 per homeless person. And so that's why we now have tent cities all over Los Angeles. So can the president do anything about that?
I think there is a role that must be played by the federal, state, and local levels of government. Obviously at the local level, you have different zoning requirements. You have decisions that are made about city or county owned land, perhaps, that can be designated at a very affordable rate, especially in a place like Los Angeles that has such a high cost of living. Just one example, there's a federal program called Housing First, and I asked them earlier today, how does that work or not work here for Los Angeles? And they said it might work in other places where the cost of living is lower, but here I think they said the cost for one unit is something like $550,000, which makes Housing First not a viable option for a city like Los Angeles. So you've got to have that coordination between every level of government, the private sector, all of these amazing service providers and nonprofits who are doing such great work every day.
Yeah, no, now small apartments in Compton are going for $500,000.
It's crazy.
It's totally new meaning to Straight Outta Compton.
And what's so disturbing is some of the things they were telling us. Obviously, we were walking through the streets. We walked into a center for women that provides services specifically for women. They talked about the increasing rates of women who are coming in as survivors of domestic violence and abuse. The different services that they can provide to them, but what was very striking was that the numbers of people who are homeless are not increasing by small amounts. These numbers are increasing at 20 or 30 or 40% rates that they're seeing here in Los Angeles, and so this really is a crisis that must be that requires serious action, urgent action.